What's up, everybody? Distinguished Fox here, and today we're going to be talking about Doom 64. I'm going to make this video short and sweet so that way we can get to the point of what I'm going to be really talking about this game. First of all, I'm just going to give you a little bit of backstory. So, what Doom 64 does in terms of the story of the game itself, it takes place after the events of Doom 2 Hell on Earth. And apparently there was a portal that was made to this station that you play in this game, and demons were able to come through that portal, and so that way you're able to go against the infestation once again in Doom 64. So that's basically what the story is. So now I'm going to talk about the, I'm not going to talk about gameplay, really. It pretty much, it's the same as what it feels like from the original Doom series, okay? Now, what I can tell you is that, now I'm going to completely fully understand why this game was so highly popular. Not just because of a Doom game as it is it's because of the fact that of its day, of an era, to where there was a console called the N64, okay? When the N64 came out, a lot of people wanted to play the N64, and there was a lot of popular games in that time. There were two games in particular that were very highly popular, and that were very playable, more so than ever. And those two games were, yes, GoldenEye 007 and Doom 64. And there were other games other than that fact that were highly playable as well and highly popular. But point noted is that all I can say is that Doom 64 is in fact my favorite Doom game of all time. Yes, I do love the original Doom series. I do love Doom 3 to a certain extent. That game was just ultimately fun. But what I loved about Doom 64, it was, in a way to me, it felt different in terms of the gameplay aesthetic, but overall, it still felt like the original Doom games because of the stiffness of the gameplay of Doom 64. And it was like that in the original Doom games as well. So hopefully that makes sense. Just bear with me here. So, and I'm going to explain why this is one of my favorite Doom games of all time, other than Doom 3 itself, because of the fact that it's more dark, it's more broody, it's very atmospheric. I love the sound quality. I think the sound quality really demonstrates of how eerily Doom 64 plays and how it just looks very interesting of its lighting structure, its shading structure, and how it just integrates into the gameplay of the world of Doom 64. And I love that aspect and concept of the game. So, another reason why I love this game a lot more is because, not just because of its atmospheric structure, and not just because of its gameplay as it is, it has to do with of how the enemies are portrayed. They are not from that of what the original monsters look like in the original Doom games. They were more kind of like of a pixelated sprites as they were. They weren't as that from what they looked like back in the day. In Doom 64, they were more of a 3D model in a way, but not too 3D model, if that makes sense. I don't know. You can chastise me either way. I really don't care, but I'm just giving my point across and see what I truly think about Doom 64 as a whole. And I think that Doom 64 just, in a way, it kind of revolutionized the game itself for the N64, because with the N64, it was a pretty good powerhouse of a console, because for its time, it did something different from what other consoles did back in that era. And I think that's one of the reasons why I think the N64 was very highly popular. Not just because of Doom 64, not just because of GoldenEye 007, but it had to do with the fact that, it was the hardware of the console itself. The hardware worked on some, I can't recall exactly what it worked on, but it did a lot of things that from what other consoles could not have done in terms of how Doom 64 perpetuated of how the gameplay was going to be like, or how it was going to be, how stabilized the game was going to be like on the console itself. I mean, I do believe there is a time to where games have to be a certain type of stabilization in terms of gameplay and the structure of the game itself, and how it just coincides with the full game as it's supposed to be intended. I'm hoping I understand what I'm trying to say here, so just bear with me, like I said, so hopefully I can be able to get my point across. But anyways, this is Distinguished Fox here. I hope you really greatly appreciate this video on Doom 64. This is in fact a remastered version of Doom 64 for that on the previous consoles, PS4 or Xbox One. So, but if you have any comments or questions that you might have, please leave them down in the comment section below. I'm more than happy to respond back to you. Have a good night, and have a great rest of your day. Peace!